السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ به من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل الله فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات وسلام على أهله وأصحابه أجمعين. I'm going to do the rest of the khutbah in English. So today I want to talk to you about salah, prayer. The salah is something like it's ingrained in our everyday lives as Muslims, and we know the actions, and we know what we have to say when we pray. Okay, and I want to kind of delve a little bit deeper into where the salah comes from, because believe it or not, the salah has existed for thousands of years before the Prophet Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, although it may have taken a different shape and form that it does today. Okay, and you can see evidence of this all over the Quran. For example, in Surah Maryam, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واذكر في الكتاب إسماعيل إنه كان صديقا نبيا وكان يأمر أهله بالصلاة والزكاة وكان عند ربه مرضيا. So Ismail is the son of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, and our entire Islamic dynasty comes from Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So Ismail is quite an important guy, and also there is lots of other pieces of evidence like Sayyidina Musa, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, where Allah amarhum Allah basically asked them to command their people to pray. Okay, so it's all over the Quran. Even when Allah describes al-mu'minun, and He describes the best of the Muslimin, the common pattern you can see is a salah. Obviously, there is zakah as well. Actually, in the ayah, if you understand the Arabic, the ayah that I just read out, zakah is there as well. But this khutbah is about salah, because zakah is incredibly important, and obviously it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. But I'm going to concentrate on salah. So, why is salah important? If you ask yourself these questions, you'll actually start to convince yourself more of why you need to do it. Okay? It's more than just a set of aerobic actions, but if you don't mind me saying, where you just bow and do all of these things. These things are connected with human beings that came before us that really felt what these things actually mean, if that makes sense. So what I'm trying to say is, when you start the salah, you can't come and do your prayer unless you have wudu. Okay, so if we just analyze the wudu for a second, wudu is I won't read it out now. It's in Surah Al-Ma'idah, I think, and it's ayah number 6, and it's very detailed on what you need to do for wudu. Okay, so you need to wash your face. Right. Well, if you're going to wash your face, then you need to wash your nose and your eyes. Oh, your nose and your eyes. Okay, they're two senses. It's two senses. Then you need to wash your mouth. That's a third sense. Okay, so then you need to wash your head, and involved in your head is your ears. So that's your fourth sense. Obviously, touch is another sense, but you know they're all interlinked. So in a sense, and then you need to obviously wash your feet and everything else. So because you're going to stand on those 2 feet when you come to face Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Now, if you look at all these things, you need your mouth to recite Quran, so it needs to be clean. So you need to wash it. Same with your nose. Your nose is the nose that you're going to take in air, to draw in air, to be able to read that Quran that you're going to read in your prayer. Yeah? You're going to need your sam'a as well, to, even though you're praying and you're saying these things out loud, or if it's a quiet prayer, you should be saying it as a whisper, and you should be listening to what you're saying. Because when you repeat, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, think about it. Don't just say it. It's not an exercise. Well, it is an exercise, but you're supposed to try and internalize, if that makes sense, what the point of the prayer is and why Allah is putting so much emphasis on why it's important. Yeah? Now, if we come to the salah itself, you say, the way you start is, you say, Allahu Akbar. Have you ever thought about why you put your hands up? If someone points a gun at you, what do? The first thing you do is you put your hands up. Why? Because this is the natural human reaction to surrendering. Okay? As soon as someone does it, you're like, okay, I surrender. Okay, so if you're saying Allahu Akbar, you're supposed to be surrendering. Now, where I think this comes from, if you look at the Anbiya, okay, who had way more iman than us, and they're much better people than us, they're actually examples for us to follow, they must have felt that. They really must have felt it, like, oh my God, I'm in the presence of Allah now, and I'm Muslim to Him, I'm completely submitted to Him. Does it make sense what I'm saying? So that's one action. And then you go into the salah, and you go into a state of concentration where salah is a form of dhikr. So dhikr in Arabic is like a form of remembrance. You're trying to remember Allah. Allah's not in front of us. Yeah? He's not in front of us. He's not here. Right? But we are reminding ourselves of His existence and His superiority over all creation. Do you think when you pray and you bow your head, it's going to send powers to Allah? He doesn't care. If you read the Quran a lot, you will see the attitude that He takes in the Quran. Do the salah because it's good for you. وَمَا خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَ وَالْجِنَّ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That's your purpose. Whether you do it or not, it's your problem. You need to find a way to make yourself believe that you need it. Okay, so, because obviously we are now ala ummat Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, and he's our messenger, and he set out a way to do it. So obviously, Surah Al-Fatiha is a fard that you have to read in every rak'ah of your salah. Okay, so Surah Al-Fatiha, what's the first thing you say? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge from Allah, from ash-shaytanir rajim, Satan. And Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most beneficial, the most merciful. Beneficial, merciful, beneficial is not the best translation, but I won't get into that now, because Arabic's a much better language than English, to be honest. But, so you're doing it, you're seeking refuge in Him, from a shaitan al-rajim, and in His name, you're going to start reciting what? His words. Okay. So the next thing is, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. The first thing any Muslim says when he's going to remember Allah is what? Thank you, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Lord of the worlds, or Lord of Al-Alameen, like Alameen's quite a broad word. And then I'm sure all of you know, inshallah, that Surah Al-Fatiha, how it goes on and what it means. You're essentially declaring your thanks to Allah, and that He is the one, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. So He is the one that we worship, and He is also the one that we ask for help. I don't ask my brother for help. I don't ask my friends for help. I ask him for help. If he decides they become the tools that he's going to use to help me, then okay. If it comes from a stranger in the street that I never met, okay. But who's going to send me the help? Allah. Okay? My brother, my family, your families, they're here temporarily. Min al-Hayy al-Qayyum is Allah. Okay? So he's the one you ask for help. No human. You don't ask any human for help. We don't ask our messengers for help. They're human. Okay? They're dead. Allah's the one who carries on living. And we're all going to be dead soon. I hate to break it to everyone. But we're here, we have some time, and we need to make the most of that time. Salah is incredibly important. Really, really important. What did I want to add? Another thing about Salah, you can actually see how important someone finds his own Salah. And what I mean by this is, you get some people when they do their prayer, they do it very quickly. Like, I've seen people pray quicker than I finish my first rak'ah. Like my first rak'ah. You know, when you stand up just before you bow, we call that a rak'ah, yeah? And that's fine. I mean, everybody is different, and you have to accept people are different. But if someone is praying it that quick, do you honestly believe he's taking in the words that are coming out of his mouth, if there's any words coming out of his mouth? The logical answer is no, right? And there are a lot of us, yeah, that don't understand Arabic, and this is okay. I mean, if you really want to get closer to Allah and you want to understand Deen al-Islam, learning Arabic is a very good logical first step. Very, very good logical first step. My Arabic's not great. My parents are Egyptian. I've never lived in an Arabic country in my life, but I made it my business to learn this language. At least to understand the mechanics of the way God is talking to me in the Quran. Of course, the Quran is narrated Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, but the message that he came with is for everybody. Black, white, yellow, green, I don't care what color you are, yeah? It's for everybody. And nobody is superior to anyone else, as Sayyidina Muhammad said very famously in his last khutbah. Okay. So why am I telling you all this? I guess I'm concerned for us as an ummah. I've prayed in loads of different masajid in this country and in other countries as well, but mainly here because I live here. And people pray in all different ways and, you know, different routes and stuff. But the core is the same, and that's what's important. But it's very easy to differentiate between someone who really takes their prayer to be important and someone who... So it's very important to differentiate between someone who really, you know, he finds that prayer important and someone who doesn't. And I'm not insulting the people who don't. I'm telling you, you need to improve. Okay? Because we were all there. I was there. Okay? There were periods in my life when I was young, I'd only pray the Friday prayer. I didn't pray the other ones. Because I didn't understand. This is all, you know, I mean, it's not okay. If you die like that, then good luck. But I'm just trying to say, yani, get yourself to the stage where praying 5 times a day is like you need to drink water. As soon as you hear the adhan, or you've got a feeling that, you know, now we have phones that do a fake adhan, which is fine, because it reminds you of the prayer that you need to be doing. As soon as you hear it, you should be like in a state of urgency. I need to go and do something. I need to pray. This is wajib on me. Yani, it's... Allah's created all of this, yeah, and you're living a beautiful lifestyle, and you have a family, and you have everything. Praying 5 times a day is nothing. If Allah was to ask for the exact qabiliyah or the exact equal back of what He's given you, mate, you wouldn't be able to do it. No way. No way. You wouldn't be able to do it. So praying 5 times a day is very cheap in comparison to what you have. But you have to think about these things. These things don't... they don't come overnight. As I said, I didn't used to pray 5 times a day. But when I understood and I started thinking about these things, this hidayah comes from Rabbina, obviously, then you start to understand. So I think my message to you today is try and understand the point of praying. Understand the point of your religion. Our entire religion is based on the salah. with zakah and the other things as well. But I'm concentrating on salah today. Yeah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Okay, so I want to think about a few other things for salah, because some of you might be thinking, I don't know, this is like when I first thought about Islam and I was trying to think about where it came from and how did it come and is there really God and stuff. By the way, it's not a shame to ask these questions. Everybody asks it up here, but maybe you don't say it, yeah, because you need to convince yourself that there is one God and you're praying for a reason, you're here for a reason. There's no shame in this. Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, did he believe in God like this? He didn't. The moon must be my God. And then when it set, what did he say? Oh, okay, well, it's set, so obviously that can't be my God. Then when the sun came up, he said the same thing. Why did Allah say this in the Quran? There was a thought process that Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, one of the closest makhluqat, like the closest human being on earth, was Khalil ar-Rahman, to God. He went through a thought process. So don't ever think, so I'm talking to two audiences here, yeah? The ones who don't pray very often, maybe, and the ones who are praying there 5 times a day and they think, oh, I've done it, that's it, I've got my ticket to Jannah, no problem. No, you can do more. You can always do more. People are at different starting points, but you both have to be trying to improve. And then when your life is over, inshallah, then Rabbina will feel like, or he will compensate the rest based on your niyyah and things that none of us can ever judge, by the way. None of us can ever judge. None of us can ever judge these things. Okay. Another important thing about salah that when I was asking these questions about a God and the salah and the way it looks and these actions and things, I kind of thought to myself, okay, so after I read these verses, why am I bowing? So why am I bowing like this first, after I've read those verses? Because the verses I just read was the word of God. So if you think about the Nabi, he used to do this automatically, yeah? As soon as he hears the word of God, he's so overwhelmed by the superiority and the awe and everything. I have to bow. You'll bow to a king if you walk into his throne room. You're not going to bow to Allah. This act of bowing, it instills humbleness in every single one of us. Even if you don't mean it. Subhanallah. Even if you don't mean it. So even people, when they pray and they say, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, Rahman Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, and they rush through it quickly, even if he doesn't mean it, Allah Ghafurur Rahim, and the fact that the angels have recorded that you've said these words is going to stand for you on the Day of Judgment, even if you don't mean it. Because at least you're there and you're trying. But we need to internalize, we need to improve. If you don't understand Arabic, find out what Alhamdulillah means. Find out what Rabbil Alameen means. Find out what Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in means. So when you hear it, you can map it internally and you know what's being said. Don't care what language you speak. That makes sense? So this act of bowing, this instills humbleness in every single one of us. Then you get up and you say, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Or actually, the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam is probably the first one we know from his sunnah who did that. So that's a chance for you to do what? Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allah can hear who is ever thanking him, so thank him. The prayer needs to be an interactive dialogue between you and Allah. So make it seem that way. And I promise you, if you make it seem that way, you will take much longer in your prayer. And another product of it is, if you really care about your prayer, you'll care about other people's prayers as well. This is something I wanted to mention earlier, but I forgot. You will care about other people's prayers as well. How? So if you see someone praying, you'll realize, oh, that's really important to him. He needs to remember Allah. I'm not going to talk loudly next to him. I'm not going to stand right next to him and brush past him every time he's praying or touch him, because it will put him off. I'm not going to cross in front of him. If you cross in front of him, you're not going to block his path to Allah or Mecca. No, you're going to put him off. Think about it logically. You're going to put him off. You'll start concentrating on your feet rather than his prayer. Because people are at all different levels of concentration. If he's got really high khushu', he won't even know you're there. But this is not the point. If you really care about your prayer, you will care about other people's prayers as well. Yeah, I guess that's all I have time for today. So, أسأل الله يعني إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلم عليه تسليما كثيرا كثيرا واللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وقوموا إلى الصلاة إن شاء الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن